Hey everyone, and welcome to Anime Dreams. Today, we're diving into a fascinating what-if scenario. What if Kurotsuchi were saved by Naruko? This channel is all about exploring alternate storylines, character dynamics, and reimagined possibilities in the world of anime. Disclaimer, all content on this channel is created purely for entertainment and discussion. I do not own any of the anime footage featured, full credit goes to the original creators and copyright holders. Now, let's get started. It was around 7 in the evening when the scene shifted to the office of the most powerful shinobi in Iwagakure, the village hidden in the stones. Inside, the third Tsuchikage, Anaki, sat at his desk with his son Kyuchi, a respected jonin, standing nearby. Before them was Kurotsuchi, Anaki's granddaughter and Kyuchi's daughter. Her expression showed clear frustration. What? What do you mean you're sending me to live in Konoha? Kurotsuchi exclaimed loudly. Kurotsuchi, Kyuchi began, his voice steady, Iwa and Konoha have struggled to get along since the founding of our villages. This exchange program is meant to build trust and strengthen our relations. I don't like Konoha much myself, but I agree with Lord Hokage and Lord Tsuchikage that this is a step toward peace. Anaki nodded. That's right, my dear. The Hokage will also be sending one of his students here, just as you will travel to Konoha. You will be representing the land of Earth. Kurotsuchi crossed her arms. Why does it have to be me? I don't want to live in their village. Anaki frowned but kept his composure. Enough, child. This is not up for debate. You are going, and in time you may understand the importance of this opportunity. His tone carried the weight of authority, and Kurotsuchi finally sighed in defeat. Fine, I'll go, she muttered, but that doesn't mean I'll enjoy it. You don't need to enjoy it right away, Anaki replied more gently. Just experience it for yourself. Who knows, you may come to appreciate it later. He gestured to Kyuchi. Hand her the paperwork. Kyuchi handed Kurotsuchi a folder containing her enrollment forms for the Konoha Ninja Academy. When you arrive, give these documents to the Hokage. He will know what to do. Kurotsuchi flipped open the folder, spotting her name neatly written inside. So am I considered an Iwa student or a Konoha student? She asked. You'll be recognized as an Iwa kunoichi living in Konoha, Anaki explained. Most likely, you'll wear their headband while you study there. Great, Kurotsuchi groaned. Living there is difficult enough, but wearing their headband too? At least you'll still be a kunoichi, Kyuchi encouraged. And when you graduate, you can choose whether to wear Iwa's attire or keep Konoha's. Kurotsuchi gave another reluctant sigh. So, when do I leave? Tomorrow morning, Anaki answered. My assistant, Chihiro, will escort you. After you've met with the Hokage, you'll have some independence. Kyuchi added, get some rest tonight, Kurotsuchi. You'll need it. She nodded and turned to leave, but Anaki called after her. One more thing, Kurotsuchi. What is it, Grandpa? She asked, pausing at the door. Perhaps in Konoha, you'll meet someone you'll enjoy being around, Anaki said with a teasing smile. Kurotsuchi's face turned bright red, and she hurried out of the office, leaving her father and grandfather chuckling quietly. Once she was gone, Kyuchi spoke seriously. Do you really believe this exchange will benefit our village? Anaki leaned back in his chair. Yes. Other great nations like Kumo, Suna, and Kiri have done similar exchanges with Konoha. And with Lord Hiruzen as Hokage, it makes the process smoother. This arrangement will help ensure safety for everyone involved. Konoha, main gate. As the sun rose over the village hidden in the leaves, two chunin stood guard at the main gate. Izumo Kamizuki and Kotetsu Hagane had been on duty for nearly 3 weeks straight. Kotetsu stretched and yawned. Morning, Izumo. Time for another long day of gate duty. Izumo groaned, trying to shield his face from the sunlight. Just 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes? If Lord Hokage catches you sleeping again, you'll be in big trouble, Kotetsu teased. Izumo shot up instantly, scrambling to make himself presentable by brushing his teeth and fixing his hair. Kotetsu blinked. Where did that sink come from? Izumo smirked. I've got my secrets. Just hurry up, Kotetsu sighed. We've got another full day ahead. Meanwhile, on the road approaching the gate, Kurotsuchi walked beside Chihiro, the Tsuchikage's secretary. The young kunoichi's face was filled with irritation. What's wrong, Kurotsuchi? Aren't you at least curious to see another village, and live there for a while? Chihiro asked kindly. No way, Kurotsuchi replied. I don't want to live in a place I don't like. Why should I? Chihiro shook her head gently. Because it's for the benefit of our village. Don't you want Iwa and Konoha to get along better? A new friendship could prevent more conflicts in the future. Besides, you've already mastered lava release, haven't you? Kurotsuchi nodded. Then think about this. In Konoha, you can learn fire release techniques to enhance your skills even further. Their academy is considered one of the finest in the world, and their teachers are exceptional. Kurotsuchi's eyes widen with interest. So I'd get to train with some of the best shinobi? And even learn fire release? Maybe this isn't so bad. See? It could be an exciting opportunity, Chihiro encouraged with a smile. Kurotsuchi folded her arms but couldn't hide the sparkle of curiosity in her eyes. Fine. But I'm not admitting I'm excited. As the gates of Konoha came into view, Chihiro pointed ahead. We've arrived. Huh? Kurotsuchi blinked, snapping out of her thoughts. I said, we're here. Kurotsuchi gazed ahead and saw the great gates of Konohagakure standing wide open, giving off a warm, welcoming aura unlike anything she was used to. The two kunoichi from Iwagakure stepped forward together, eventually reaching the small checkpoint where Izumo and Kotetsu were stationed. Good morning. May I see your identification and official documents, please? Izumo asked kindly, smiling at the visitors. Chihiro retrieved her ID and handed it over while raising an eyebrow at Kurotsuchi, signaling her to pass over the exchange program papers. With a small sigh, Kurotsuchi did as instructed, giving the forms to Kotetsu. The two Chunin carefully examined the paperwork before nodding with approval. So this young lady must be the one joining the exchange program between our villages? Izumo asked as he returned their documents. Yes, Chihiro replied warmly. Kurotsuchi will be attending the academy here in Konoha. Just my luck. Kurotsuchi muttered under her breath. Oh, come now, Kotetsu said cheerfully. The Konoha Ninja Academy is excellent. We've got skilled instructors and a diverse group of students. I'm sure you'll make some good friends here. Sure. If you say so, Kurotsuchi answered with a quiet grumble, only to receive a light tap on the head from Chihiro. Forgive her mood, Chihiro explained politely. She isn't feeling her best today. Would you mind escorting us to the Hokage? Of course, Izumo said. He cleared his throat dramatically before calling out in a sing-song tone, Anbu. In an instant, two masked Anbu appeared. Izumo gestured to Kurotsuchi and Chihiro. Please escort these visitors to the Hokage. The young kunoichi here is part of the academy exchange program. The Anbu nodded and motioned for the Iwa ladies to follow. Once they were out of earshot, Kotetsu leaned back. She seems a bit intense. Remember, she's from Iwagakure, Izumo replied. Different environment, different upbringing. Give her some time. Yeah, I just hope she gets along with our kids, Kotetsu muttered. Hokage Tower. Chihiro, Kurotsuchi, and the Anbu climbed the staircases until they reached the double doors of the Hokage's office. Here we are. Please go ahead, one Anbu said politely. Thank you, Chihiro replied before they departed. She crouched slightly so she was eye level with Kurotsuchi. Now listen carefully. This is important, she said gently. Please behave yourself. Don't start arguments with the Konoha students, and certainly don't speak rudely to the Hokage. Remember, you represent your village and your family here. Kurotsuchi puffed her cheeks in frustration. I'll try, but if other kids push me, I can't promise I'll just sit quietly. Kurotsuchi, Chihiro's voice grew firmer. Be grateful the Hokage has opened this opportunity for you. Many others would have refused. Show your grandfather and your father that you can rise above pride. Make them proud. Kurotsuchi sighed but nodded. All right, I understand. I'll do my best. Chihiro smiled softly and knocked 3 times on the door. Come in, came a calm voice from inside. They entered, and Kurotsuchi immediately noticed the elderly man behind the desk, smoking a pipe with a warm expression. Welcome, he greeted. I am Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Hokage of Konohagakure. You must be the ladies from Iwagakure. Chihiro bowed. Yes, Hokage-sama. I have brought Kurotsuchi here to attend your academy on behalf of the Tsuchikage. Hiruzen's kind eyes turned to Kurotsuchi, who felt her nervousness ease under his gentle presence. Do you have your documents, young one? Yes, Hokage-sama. Kurotsuchi handed over her enrollment file, which Hiruzen reviewed carefully before nodding. Excellent. You are officially enrolled as an exchange student. I'll notify the academy headmaster right away, and you will receive a confirmation letter soon. Thank you, Hokage-sama, Kurotsuchi said respectfully with a small bow. No need for such formality, Hiruzen chuckled. Just Hokage-sama will do. He wrote down an address and handed it to her. This is the location of your apartment. It will be free of charge, and Onbu will ensure your safety while you are here. You will also find a welcome letter and funds for your living expenses waiting inside. All utilities are covered by the village, so you need not worry. Chihiro bowed once more. We are grateful for your generosity, Hokage-sama. I'm certain that Tsuchikage will be pleased with this step towards unity. Then I wish you both the best, Hiruzen replied warmly. Later, apartment complex. After an hour of searching through the bustling streets of Konoha, Kurotsuchi finally found her new apartment building. Collecting her key from the receptionist, she climbed the stairs to the third floor. C1. C2. Ah, here it is. C3. Unlocking the door, she stepped inside and was greeted by a refreshing burst of cool air. Wow, the AC is already on, she thought with relief. Placing her pack down, she noticed an envelope waiting for her on the kitchen table. Inside was a considerable sum of ryo along with a handwritten note. It read, Dear Kurotsuchi, welcome to Konohagakure. This exchange program was created through discussions between your grandfather and myself, with hopes of strengthening peace and cooperation between our villages. The funds enclosed are meant to support your living needs during your 4 years at the academy. Your utilities, water, gas, and electricity, will be provided free of charge. I hope you find joy in your stay here and continue growing as a proud kunoichi of Iwagakure. Sincerely, Hiruzen Sarutobi, 3rd Hokage. Kurotsuchi smiled faintly. All right then. Guess this is home for now. Smirking, Kurotsuchi set the letter aside and opened the refrigerator to find it surprisingly well stocked. Wow. Looks like the old man planned ahead, she muttered in amazement. Inside were neatly arranged frozen meats, bottles of fruit juice, jars of sriracha, frozen yogurt, and even a few recipe cards for dumplings. On top of the fridge were 2 large gallon jugs of water alongside 2 packs of bottled water. Moving toward the counter, she noticed how perfectly the utensils had been arranged, like someone had prepared the place just for her. Climbing onto the counter, she peeked into the cupboards and found spices and cooking supplies, everything from salt and pepper to herbs. Maybe staying here won't be that bad after all, she whispered with a little smile. Unpacking her bag, she grabbed a fresh set of clothes and hopped into the shower. 30 minutes later she emerged, her hair slightly damp, before jumping onto the living room couch. This feels way better than the hard stone beds back home, she sighed contently. Not wanting to sit idle, Kurotsuchi decided to explore the village. She stepped outside and began her personal tour. Streets of Konoha. 2 hours later, after memorizing the layout of the village, where the food shops, shinobi supply stores, and clothing stalls were, she noticed her stomach rumbling. Glancing at her little wristwatch, she saw that it was just after 1 in the afternoon. Time for lunch. Let's see if this place is anything good, she said to herself. That was when she spotted a small stand with a bright banner, Ichiraku Ramen. Ramen, huh? Looks cozy enough, she smiled, stepping inside. The stand had only 12 stools, yet the atmosphere was warm and inviting. A cheerful girl with brown hair was cleaning dishes, while an older man in his 30s worked at a pot of simmering broth. Welcome to Ichiraku Ramen. What can I get for you? The girl asked with a bright smile. Oh, this is actually my first time here. Well, actually, my first time in the village altogether. So I don't know what's good, Kurotsuchi admitted. Ah, that makes sense, you must be an exchange student, the older man said without looking up. That's right. I'm from Iwagakure. From Iwa? Fascinating. My name is Tucci, and this is my daughter, Ayame. Nice to meet you both, Kurotsuchi nodded politely. Well, since it's your first time, lunch is on the house, Tucci declared kindly. Are you sure? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Positive. Then, thank you. Within minutes, a steaming bowl of ramen was placed before her. Just as she prepared to take her first bite, another customer entered, a girl with spiky blonde hair, sparkling blue eyes, and distinctive whisker-like marks on her cheeks. Oh. Dad, Naruko's here, Ayame exclaimed happily. Get her usual. Tucci called out. The blonde girl plopped into a seat with her usual sunny grin. Naruko noticed Kurotsuchi sitting nearby and gave her a friendly wave. Hi there. I'm Naruko Uzumaki. You can introduce yourself after you finish your noodles, deal? She said with a playful grin. Kurotsuchi chuckled softly. Sure. I'm Kurotsuchi. Before she knew it, Naruko had already devoured bowl after bowl with astonishing speed. Kurotsuchi nearly dropped her chopsticks when she realized Naruko had already finished a dozen bowls while she was still on her first. Is she even human? Kurotsuchi thought with wide eyes. Soon enough, a playful competition broke out between the two, as they challenged each other to see who could eat faster. 2 hours passed, and the counter was stacked high with empty bowls, over 100 in total. By the end, Naruko leaned forward on the counter with a tired groan, while Kurotsuchi triumphantly raised her chopsticks. And the winner is our visiting guest from Iwa. Tucci announced with a laugh. Ayame clapped excitedly. With a smirk, Kurotsuchi finished her last bite and stretched. Thanks for the meal. That was fun. Later that evening, Konoha Shopping District. Around 8 o'clock, Kurotsuchi strolled through the quieter streets. The crowds had thinned, and the air was pleasantly calm. Just as she turned a corner, she noticed a group of villagers gathered together, talking loudly. What's going on over there? She wondered. At first, she was about to walk away, but then she caught sight of someone familiar sitting on the ground, Naruko. The blonde girl looked overwhelmed by the crowd's scolding voices, covering her ears as several people pointed and complained loudly about old grievances she didn't even understand. Poor kid, Kurotsuchi whispered, frowning. Without hesitation, she stepped forward and placed herself between Naruko and the crowd, holding out an arm protectively. Hey! That's enough, Kurotsuchi said firmly. Why are you all surrounding her like this? She hasn't done anything to you. The crowd murmured among themselves. Some muttered about old fears, others about things from the past that Naruko couldn't control. Naruko peeked up from behind Kurotsuchi, her blue eyes wide. She recognized her defender immediately, it was the girl from Ichiraku's. Don't worry, I've got your back, Kurotsuchi whispered quietly to Naruko. The villagers hesitated, then slowly began dispersing, their frustration fading when they realized they couldn't intimidate Naruko with someone standing firmly by her side. Once the crowd was gone, Naruko looked up at Kurotsuchi with a soft smile. Thanks. You didn't have to do that, you know, she said shyly. Kurotsuchi shrugged, smirking. Well, someone had to remind them you're just another kid like the rest of us. Naruko's grin returned, brighter than ever. You're awesome. Kurotsuchi chuckled. Don't forget it. Together, the two new friends walked back toward the quieter parts of the village, a little more at ease than before. You should be protecting others, not ganging up on someone defenseless. Especially you shinobi, you're supposed to guard your comrades, not harm them, let alone a child, Kurotsuchi scolded firmly, just as one of the chunin dashed forward with a katana raised. Oh great, exactly what I needed, she muttered. With quick reflexes, Kurotsuchi swung her own weapon, striking with enough force to knock the katana out of his grip, leaving the man stunned. What? He gasped, only for Kurotsuchi to tap the side of his head with a sharp karate chop, sending him to the ground unconscious. Smirking confidently, she turned back to the crowd. So, who's next? She challenged with a grin. 2 more chunin rushed at her, kunai in hand. Kurotsuchi swiftly dodged their strikes with ease, countering by knocking one aside and firmly disarming the other until both were down. Soon, several more villagers attempted to confront her, but with quick kicks, spins, and expert movements, she sent them stumbling back, unable to keep up with her. After several minutes of skillful combat, the group lay scattered around, defeated but unharmed. Naruko stood nearby, wide-eyed in amazement. Cracking her neck and stretching her arms, Kurotsuchi let out a sigh of relief. Now that was a workout worth doing, she said with satisfaction. Wow! That was incredible, Naruko exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. I've never seen anyone move like that. You're amazing. Turning to her, Kurotsuchi smirked. I only managed that because the shinobi here aren't exactly impressive. It's no wonder a 10-year-old like me could handle them. I'm simply the best, she boasted with a playful grin. Then she tilted her head curiously. So, what did you do to make them so upset with you? Honestly, I didn't do anything at all, Naruko replied softly. If you say so. Kurotsuchi shrugged. Well, it's getting late. You should head home. She pulled a handkerchief from her sleeve and handed it over. Here, clean your face a bit. You'll feel better. Naruko accepted it with a small smile, wiping her face. As Kurotsuchi prepared to leap onto the rooftops, Naruko quickly reached out and gently grabbed her arm. Wait. Kurotsuchi turned back with a questioning look. What is it? What's your name? Naruko asked eagerly. For a moment, Kurotsuchi debated keeping it secret, but then smiled to herself. Fine, I suppose it's polite to introduce myself. I'm Kurotsuchi. Naruko's grin brightened instantly. I'm Naruko Uzumaki, she declared proudly, giving a big thumbs up. You already told me back at the ramen shop, but sure, Kurotsuchi chuckled before hopping away across the rooftops. Left standing there, Naruko felt her cheeks warm slightly. She's so cool, she whispered as a shy blush crept across her face. With a dreamy smile, she made her way home. Naruko's apartment complex. Naruko climbed the stairs and unlocked her small apartment, stepping inside for the night. She didn't realize that the whole way back, Kurotsuchi had been quietly following from above, keeping watch from the rooftops. As Kurotsuchi finally turned to leave, only one thought lingered in her mind. Why do I feel so protective of her? Third training field, around 8 a.m. It was a bright Saturday morning at the third training field, where the quiet beauty of nature stretched across the grounds. The peaceful scene, however, was soon broken by the sound of determined training. Near the circular wooden target stood Naruko Uzumaki, diligently practicing her kunai throwing. Since before dawn, young Naruko had been awake, working tirelessly to improve her skills in preparation for the upcoming academy year. She was intent on becoming the best at kunai throwing. After retrieving the kunai from the wooden targets, she returned to her position, inhaled deeply, and hurled another. The blade landed just a little off the bullseye. Ah, still not close enough. She muttered with mild frustration. Taking her time, Naruko aimed carefully before releasing another kunai. This one struck closer to the center, causing her to beam with excitement. Yes, she exclaimed joyfully, hopping up and down. With her last two kunai, she threw them simultaneously, though they landed further apart, both strikes still hit the target board. As she approached to collect them again, someone suddenly leapt out from behind a wooden post. Hey, Blondie! A cheerful voice called. Ah, Naruko gasped in surprise, stumbling backward onto the ground. Standing before her was someone she recognized instantly. Kurotsuchi, Naruko said brightly, springing up with the instinct to hug her. But before she could get too close, Kurotsuchi extended her sword's hilt playfully to keep her at arm's length. Aw, come on. Naruko pouted lightly. I just wanted a hug. Hey, no one hugs me that easily, Blondie, Kurotsuchi teased, before glancing at the target. So what are you doing out here alone on such a nice morning? Don't you have friends to spend time with? Naruko hesitated, her expression dimming. Well, honestly, I don't have any friends. Why not go make some then? Kurotsuchi asked, folding her arms. It's not that simple. Other kids usually avoid me, and sometimes their parents steer them away too. Naruko admitted softly. Kurotsuchi glanced back at her, noting the girl's downcast eyes. Though she had helped Naruko before, she hadn't expected to feel such concern for her again. Why do I feel like I actually care about her? Kurotsuchi thought, surprised at her own reaction. Meanwhile, Naruko's expression brightened suddenly with hope. She looked up eagerly. Hey! Let's be friends, she declared with a big grin. What? Kurotsuchi blinked, taken aback. Yeah. Let's be best friends, Kurotsuchi, Naruko said with full enthusiasm. Kurotsuchi stared at her as if unsure whether she was serious. Be friends? With a Konoha girl? She thought. For a long moment, the only sound was the wind rustling through the trees. Well? Naruko asked expectantly. Kurotsuchi tapped her chin thoughtfully. Honestly. She doesn't seem bad at all. Most of the boys back in Iwa are rude, but she isn't. She just looks like a lonely girl who really needs a friend. Finally, she crossed her arms. Fine. Sure. If you want to be friends, I'll be your first. Overjoyed, Naruko wrapped Kurotsuchi in a tight embrace. Yay! 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 She cheered, hopping around with excitement. Hey! That's too tight, let go already. Kurotsuchi protested, though not unkindly. Oops, sorry, Naruko laughed nervously, scratching the back of her head. I get a little carried away sometimes. Sure, Kurotsuchi replied, smiling faintly. She then picked up one of Naruko's kunai, stepped back, and without even aiming, threw it directly into the bullseye. Naruko's eyes widened. Whoa! No way! And that's just the beginning. Kurotsuchi grinned as she slipped 3 kunai between her fingers, making her hand look like a claw. With a swift motion, she released them all at once. Each embedded perfectly into the target, forming a neat square pattern. That was incredible. Please teach me how to throw like that. Naruko begged, her eyes sparkling. Kurotsuchi placed a thoughtful finger on her chin. Maybe. But tell me, why do you want to learn this technique? Are you going to the academy? Yeah. Classes start Monday, and if I can get better at kunai throwing, I'll already be ahead. Naruko replied eagerly. Well, I could train you, but only on one condition. What's that? You keep it a secret. I don't want just any Konoha student copying my style. Only you, Kurotsuchi said firmly. My lips are sealed, Naruko said, pretending to zip her mouth shut. By the way, why do you keep calling me a Konoha brat? Aren't you from here too? Kurotsuchi shook her head. No way. I'm from Iwagakure, one of the 5 great villages. I'm only here as an exchange student. And yes, I'll be at the academy too. That's awesome. That means we can be friends forever. Naruko cheered. Hey, if you say so, Blondie, Kurotsuchi replied with a playful smirk. Yep. Now teach me how to throw like you, Naruko urged. Not so fast. First, I want to see your physical fitness, Kurotsuchi said, wagging her finger. My what? Your fitness, push-ups, sit-ups, running. If you want to be a shinobi, you'll need to pass those tests. Oh, that's easy. I do that kind of training every day, Naruko said confidently. Really? Then prove it. Show me your push-ups, Kurotsuchi commanded. All right, Naruko said as she quickly got into position. Kurotsuchi knelt to meet her eye level. Here's how it works, you'll be timed for 2 minutes. The minimum you need is 42 push-ups. Think you've got what it takes? Of course. Naruko Uzumaki can do anything, she declared proudly. Oh really? Then. Begin, Kurotsuchi shouted with mock authority. Here goes, Naruko said with determination as she started counting off her push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4. By the time nearly 2 minutes had passed, Naruko was still going strong. 10 seconds. Kurotsuchi announced, glancing at her little watch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Ugh. That was so exhausting. Naruko groaned, collapsing face first into the dirt. So tired. Can't feel arms. Kurotsuchi laughed warmly. That's actually really impressive. You should be proud your arms are that worn out, because guess what, Naruko? You did 43 push-ups. You passed the first part of the PT test, congratulations. Wait. Really? I passed? Oh, yes. Let's move on to sit-ups then. Naruko cheered as she got into position. Start the timer. Alright, but be ready, right after sit-ups, you're running with no break, Naruko, Kurotsuchi teased with a mischievous grin. 1 hour later. After a full hour of exercises, Naruko lay on the grass beside the river, breathing heavily, her blonde hair sticking to her forehead. Huff. Huff. That was tough, but kind of fun. So, how did I do, Kurotsuchi? She asked. Kurotsuchi crossed her arms, smiling. Honestly? You did better than I expected. You needed 53 sit-ups to pass, and you managed 55. For the 2-mile run, the passing time is 15:54, and you ran 15:40. Not bad, Naruko. Patting her forehead gently, Kurotsuchi added, you've got talent. Of course I do. I'm a natural at this. Naruko grinned. Oh really? Want to see how I do? PFFT, sure, but I bet you won't beat me. 45 minutes later. Naruko's jaw nearly dropped. After timing Kurotsuchi's push-ups, sit-ups, and run, she couldn't believe her eyes. How did you do that? You're amazing, Naruko exclaimed. Kurotsuchi giggled. Looks like I'm the natural, not you. She playfully stuck out her tongue. Wow. 95 push-ups, 102 sit-ups, and a 10:01 run? That's incredible, Naruko said, eyes wide. You're awesome, Kurotsuchi. It's simple. Train hard and practice every day. Oh, and eat your vegetables, she said proudly. Vegetables? No way, I don't like them. Naruko pouted. Then you'll never be as good as me. Fine. I'll just train harder instead. Believe it, Naruko declared. Kurotsuchi smiled. Exactly. I've been training since I could walk, so it comes naturally to me. She glanced at the sun. Looks like it's about 11. Want to try another type of training? No way. You'll just beat me again, Naruko pouted, though she smiled. You were born to be a kunoichi. That may be true, but you have heart and determination, Naruko. With those two, I know you'll do great at the academy. Naruko's eyes lit up. You really think so? Of course. I'm never wrong about these things. Before they could continue, both of their stomachs growled loudly. The sound was so exaggerated that the two girls fell into laughter, clutching their bellies. That was hilarious. I've never heard a stomach sound like that in Iwa, Kurotsuchi laughed. Hey, my stomach just has a mind of its own. Naruko grinned. Well then, how about we get lunch, Blondie? Kurotsuchi asked. Sure. How about ramen? Naruko perked up. No way, I'm still full from our last eating contest. Let's try something different. At the Akimichi barbecue eatery. This barbecue is amazing, Kurotsuchi giggled happily. I still prefer ramen, Naruko mumbled between bites. Oh come on, this is way better. Nope, ramen wins every time, Naruko insisted. The two enjoyed their meal, and afterward, strolled through the village. As they walked, Naruko noticed a few unfriendly glances from villagers. Kurotsuchi frowned, clearly bothered. Doesn't that upset you? She asked quietly. Naruko shook her head. I'm used to it. It's better to ignore it and focus on the fun stuff in life. Kurotsuchi decided not to press further. They continued walking until they stopped at a weapon and clothing shop. Hey, Naruko, besides those kunai you had earlier, do you have any other equipment? Kurotsuchi asked. Not really. I've had those two since I was 5, Naruko admitted. Well, you're in luck. Since we start the academy Monday, I'll treat you to some new gear. Kurotsuchi beamed. Seriously? That's amazing. You're the best, Kurotsuchi. Inside the shop, Naruko's eyes sparkled at the shelves. This place is awesome. Look at all these weapons. Maybe I should get a kusarigama. Or a katana. Or that giant bow. I can't decide. Kurotsuchi giggled. She picked up a pair of sai and a tanto. Here, these are simple but strong weapons. Master these, and you'll be unstoppable. So cool. Oh, and that kunai set looks amazing too. Naruko added. After purchasing, Naruko also picked up some child-sized onbu-style pants. At the counter, a cheerful girl greeted them. Hi. I'm Tenten. What are you buying today? She asked with a smile. All of these, Naruko said proudly, setting down her items. As Tenten scanned them, she eyed Kurotsuchi curiously. You're not from Konoha, are you? Nope. I'm from Iwagakure. I'm here as an exchange student, Kurotsuchi explained. That's so cool. You'll love the academy, trust me. Tenten smiled. Naruko popped back in suddenly. Are you two done chatting yet? Kurotsuchi playfully pinched Naruko's nose. You nearly startled me. Ow. Okay, I'm sorry. Naruko whined. Kurotsuchi let go and handed her the bag. Here's your stuff, Blondie. Naruko rubbed her nose and smiled. Thanks, Kuro-chan. Kurotsuchi blushed slightly. What did you just call me? Kuro-chan. Naruko repeated with a grin. Kurotsuchi sighed but smiled. Fine, but only you can call me that. Now, let's get back to training. Aw man. Naruko pouted, though her eyes sparkled with determination. The two of them stepped out of the store after bidding farewell to Tenten and decided to take a short walk. Since it was around 4 in the afternoon, there was still plenty of daylight left for more training. Hey Naruko, since I got you a new kunai set, a tanto, and a pair of sai, oh, and those cargo pants too, how about we go train some more? Kurotsuchi suggested in a cheerful tone. Honestly, I'm really tired, so maybe Naruko yawned before Kurotsuchi gently tugged at her collar to get her attention. Kurotsuchi leaned in with determined eyes. Naruko, if you want to become a skilled kunoichi, you need to practice. Whoa, that's kind of intense. Alright, fine. I'll train. But only if you promise to teach me something fun. Naruko replied with a playful pout. Setting her down, Kurotsuchi dusted off her clothes with a satisfied smile. Good. And yes, I'll teach you. How about working on your kunai throwing? That's why I wanted to bring you out here, to help you sharpen your aim. Naruko's face brightened. Really? You'll teach me? Of course. Why not? The two made their way to the practice field for shuriken and kunai, located not far from Konoha. Shuriken/kunai range. Yeah. I did it. Naruko cheered as she jumped for joy. She had just hit 3 consecutive bullseyes with her kunai. Retrieving the kunai from the target, Kurotsuchi walked over and patted Naruko's back. That's impressive, Blondie. But now I have a new challenge for you. What is it? Naruko asked eagerly. Hold kunai between your fingers so it looks like you've got 3 claws on each hand, Kurotsuchi demonstrated. Naruko followed along and prepared herself. Alright, now try to top this. With smooth precision, Kurotsuchi launched 6 kunai, each one landing neatly in the bullseye. Let's see you do that, she said with a confident smirk. I can do it, easy. Naruko crossed her arms proudly, then threw hers, only for the kunai to scatter everywhere, completely missing the target. What? Naruko gasped in shock. Kurotsuchi laughed warmly. That was adorable. Hey, don't laugh at me. Naruko huffed. Still smiling, Kurotsuchi handed back the kunai. Here's the trick, keep your hand steady. Place 6 again like before. Naruko did so. Then what? Take a few calm breaths, and release as you exhale. Don't just fling them wildly, use a smooth motion, like this. Naruko nodded, focused, and threw again with care. To her amazement, all 6 landed in the bullseye. I did it. I really did it, Naruko exclaimed, bouncing happily. Kurotsuchi chuckled and patted her shoulder. Nicely done. See what happens when you focus? Thanks, Kurotsuchi, Naruko said, trying to hug her, but Kurotsuchi stopped her with 2 fingers pressed to her forehead. No hugs, she teased. Naruko pouted playfully. Fine. They continued their training with sai and sword practice. Naruko tried charging in excitedly, but Kurotsuchi skillfully demonstrated counters, gently redirecting Naruko's strikes and showing her how to defend herself with proper timing. Though Naruko stumbled a few times, she quickly improved and managed to catch the edge of Kurotsuchi's blade between the prongs of her sai. Nice move, Kurotsuchi praised before tapping Naruko lightly on the forehead with the flat of her blade. Ouch. That stings. Naruko rubbed her head with a laugh. Still want to continue? Kurotsuchi asked with a grin. Humph, fine, you win this round, Naruko admitted with a pout. Good. That means you're learning, Kurotsuchi said proudly, helping her up. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the two sat beside a small campfire, roasting fish and boiling mushrooms Naruko had gathered. The night air was calm, and the stars sparkled above them. Hey, Kurotsuchi? Naruko asked quietly. Yeah? Do you think just sitting here, relaxing by the fire, and watching the stars is fun? Kurotsuchi smiled softly. I think it's wonderful. The stars remind me how big the world is. Sometimes it makes me feel small, but in a comforting way, like there's always something more to discover. True, Naruko said, gazing upward. The world really is huge. Naruko handed Kurotsuchi a roasted fish. She accepted it gratefully, taking a bite. Wow, this is delicious. Of course it is. I made it, Naruko said proudly. The two laughed and enjoyed their simple meal together, the warmth of the fire and the peace of the evening wrapping around them like a blanket. Thank you for what you did, and for caring. He repeated sincerely. I promise, once I grow stronger, I'll return the favor and protect you too, he declared with determination. Naruko tilted her head and gave him a puzzled look. No way, I can take care of myself. Nope. I promise I'll protect you the same way you protect me. I never go back on my word, he said brightly, flashing his usual grin. Naruko opened her mouth but found no words to argue with. Well, that's really kind of you, Naruko. You're welcome. Huh? You said, thank you, so I said you're welcome. Oh, ha. Seeing Naruko's playful grin, she couldn't help but smile back. Their cheerful moment was cut short when both of their stomachs rumbled so loudly that it echoed across the field. Blushing, they glanced at each other before breaking into laughter. After laughing for a while, they finally calmed down. Naruko noticed the mushrooms sizzling in the pot and leaned over to check. They're ready. Try them, Kurotsuchi. She encouraged with excitement. Kurotsuchi looked at the mushrooms with exaggerated suspicion before pretending to gag. Ew, no way. You probably picked the wrong ones on purpose to mess with me, she teased, pointing at Naruko dramatically. Naruko blinked in surprise, then picked one mushroom carefully and held it up. You won't know until you try. Come on, just one bite, she insisted. No. Keep that away from me, Kurotsuchi giggled, leaning back as Naruko tried to playfully offer it. Streets of Konoha. 2 hours later, with the fire put out, the girls walked side by side through the calm evening streets. A few villagers and shinobi passed by, finishing their late shifts. Eventually, they arrived at Kurotsuchi's apartment. "So, did you enjoy training today, Naruko?" Kurotsuchi asked. "Yeah, I loved it. Let's train again sometime." Naruko beamed. "Maybe. If I feel like it." "Oh, come on." Naruko whined. "Haha, I'm just kidding. Of course we'll train again," Kurotsuchi chuckled softly. For once, she let herself smile warmly at Naruko, something she rarely showed anyone, not even her family. "Well, I guess this is good night." "Yeah, I'll see you later." "Sleep well," Naruko said with her usual enthusiasm. They turned to go their separate ways, but Naruko suddenly called out. "Wait." Kurotsuchi turned. "Yeah? I didn't collect any bad mushrooms. If I did, I'd be sick right now," Naruko declared. "Yes, you did," Kurotsuchi teased. "No, I didn't." "Did too." "Did not." Their playful back and forth carried on until Kurotsuchi finally giggled and waved her hand. All right, you didn't." "See? I told you," Naruko said proudly. Kurotsuchi turned to head inside, but Naruko called again. "Wait. One more thing. Are we friends?" Kurotsuchi almost laughed at the question, but instead she smiled softly. "Yes, we're friends, Naruko." "Best friends?" "Haha, sure. Good night, Naruko." She replied before stepping into her building. "Okay, good night." Naruko grinned as she headed to her own place. Kurotsuchi's apartment. Inside, Kurotsuchi placed her katana on its stand and flopped onto her bed. As she drifted off, she thought quietly to herself. Maybe being her friend isn't so bad after all. Naruko's apartment. Naruko rushed inside, set down her bag of things Kurotsuchi had helped her get, then leapt happily onto her bed. Lying on her back, she gazed at the ceiling with a bright, genuine smile. For the first time in her young life, she felt something she had long wished for, true happiness. Not a smile to hide her loneliness, but one born from having a real friend. With that comforting thought, she drifted into peaceful sleep. Dear YouTube family. That's all for today's episode. If you enjoyed the content, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps this channel grow and keeps the dream alive. Thank you for being part of this journey. Until next time, stay inspired, stay creative. With gratitude. Anime Dreams.